crazy bet. I was born in 1818 in Richmond, Virginia. I am the daughter of one of the most prestigious and wealthiest families in Richmond. As a teenager, I was sent north to school in Philadelphia. This is where I realized the wrongness of slavery. Obviously, my northern views were not the least bit popular in my hometown of Richmond. As I began to hear rumblings that the Confederacy was going to be started because President Lincoln may indeed be elected president, I began corresponding with President Lincoln, letting him know the things that I was hearing. I prayed for his election as president. In 1860, he was indeed elected president. However, this brought about the secession of South Carolina, and the other states soon followed. Thus, 1861 begins the Civil War. My career as a spy, which, as a spy, I was actually known as the most successful of northern or southern spies, begins after the Battle of Bull Run in 1861. Many Union soldiers and officers were captured, taken to Richmond, which is now the capital of the Confederacy. The conditions at Libby Prison, where I start my career, are very filthy. It's hot, it's overcrowded. I begged the warden to allow me to visit and do my Christian duty in this prison. When I went to the prison, I took some things with me. One of them, simple reading material for the dear soldiers. This was invaluable to me. I would faintly underline letters and use pinpricks to communicate with the officers and the soldiers. They would read these books and then return them to me with answers. This gave me information on troop movements, on battles, on different things that I could then pass on to the North. Another thing that I used, I was able to take this simple pan. Now, the guards thought that it was filled with water. I would have food for the poor soldiers. It was indeed not filled with water. I would take this pan and in the bottom, fill it with money, letters, anything that I could that could be of assistance. They would in turn pass things back to me, and I was able to give them correspondence from the North. Now, just so happened that the warden of Libby Prison couldn't find a place to stay in Richmond. Well, remember, I'm from an elite family. I have a mansion on Church Hill. I invited the warden to come stay with me. Thus, I was also able to get a lot of information about the Confederacy because he was under my roof. Little did he know, he was staying with the spy. Now, things became very difficult. I used to be able to send letters through the U.S. mail. That became almost impossible. They were being intercepted. I then set up what was known as the Richmond Underground. The Underground started at a small farmhouse that I owned outside of Richmond. Had 5 relay points. My messengers were former slaves. Of course, I had freed all of my slaves. Also, friends, sympathizers acted on these relay points. What I would do with very sensitive information, I would write the information on a piece of paper with black ink. It was a special black ink. It was invisible till you poured milk on it. Then it became black. I would tear each message into several pieces, send it north with different couriers along the underground system till it reached Colonel George Sharp. And then it went on to who it needed, the different generals. We also aided slaves via the Richmond Underground on all these relay points to escape to the north. Another thing that I was able to do, this was one of my most clever accomplishments. One of my former slaves, Mary Elizabeth Bowser, I was able to obtain work for her in Jefferson Davis's White House. Well, as it turns out, Miss Mary Elizabeth had a photographic memory. And as she was dusting Jefferson Davis's office, she would look at the correspondence. Her photographic memory allowed her to tell me every single thing that she saw on that desk in full detail.